How's it going, everybody? Wildman Wes here, and welcome to day 14 of SHOCKTOBERFEST 2024. Today's episode was requested by Patrick Davis, aka PatmanQC, one of the greatest video game historian aficionados that I've been watching for a long time. And I'll be honest, if it weren't for watching a lot of his videos back in the day, I probably would not have even done Game Central Station or any of my video game plays on this channel. For those of you that have been watching Patman's channel, he recently had some health issues and unfortunately has been in a financial strain, as well as not being able to make a lot of content recently. So I want to make sure that I'm doing my part, not just as a Patman fan, but also as a QC native. He does have a GoFundMe to help with some of the medical finances and whatnot. There is a link in the description below. And you know what, Patman? I hope that you're on the way to a speedy recovery and that we look forward to all the content that you have coming up so far. Until then, this one is for you. Today we're going to be talking about 2002's Ghost Ship. This movie, it's a psychological thriller, it's a paranormal thriller. I mean, I'll be honest, I forgot this movie ever existed. And, you know, looking at it again in retrospect, I'm like, wow, how did I forget about this movie? Well, you know what? I'm surprised I did, because there's a lot of interesting things within the film. So the movie starts off in 1962 on an Italian cruise ship where everything seems to be going okay. There's singing, there's dancing, there's drinking, there's eating. There's this little girl on the boat who just seems alone and bored. And during one of the parties, she's asked to dance by one of the crew members of the ship. And unfortunately for the entire crew, a cable reel comes undone and eviscerates the entire crew. It's very disturbing, but effective. Now we fast forward to present day, where a salvage crew is making their rounds trying to find interesting artifacts around the ocean, until a young man from the Arctic Weather Patrol approaches this salvage crew and says, you know, I found this boat. From time to time I've been flying by it, and I've got no response from the radio, and I'm concerned. I want to know what's going on. Well, the crew decides to investigate, and they see a lot of dilapidated parts of the boat. There's no survivors. There's no even sight of anybody on board. Until eventually, one of the crew members, Epps, starts to see a little girl back and forth from time to time. And as this happens, so does the ship come alive. In the midst of all of this, the salvage crew finds gold in the cargo bay, and they're thinking they're going to strike it rich, and as they're about to leave, their cargo ship explodes. So now they are entrapped on this boat. As they try to figure out their escape, as I mentioned, the boat starts to come alive, with the ghosts of everyone on board starting to haunt, seduce, and even give information of what exactly happened to everyone on board, until one by one, most of them are getting picked off, until Epps realizes that there was not just the accident that caused this haunting. The gold itself was taken from a boat from another situation where everyone died, and now all of a sudden everybody else is dying on this. And there is a key factor. The man that wanted them to assist him in trying to find this boat is actually part of the undead, who is marking people from boats upon boats upon boats that are bringing this gold on. And eventually Epps has to find a way to dispel the possession and the evil. And she does. Unfortunately, in the end, while she's being rescued, she sees her crew members that are undead, as well as the young man, going up a ramp with the gold that came out of the boat. That's the movie in a nutshell. I mean, there's a lot to take in on this one, because there's more than one story going on. I mean, it's almost a whodunit, whether it was a freak accident, cursed gold, conspiracy theory. people involved in a crime. I mean, literally, it makes you question the entire film, and I honestly love that. Because even like I said, in retrospect, I remember watching this movie years ago. I was probably in high school when it happened, but coming back to it, it was like a first time. And I just appreciate it because, as they say, nobody forgets their first time. That's what I do. Now it's time to talk about what I like and what I don't like about the film. We're going to start off with what I don't like. To be honest, there's not much. I mean, this movie kept me interested throughout the entire film, and even with the different ideas and stories and possibilities of what actually happened, it made me question it. I mean, I take pride in watching a lot of horror films, kind of having that moment of clarity, that moment of going, I think I know what's up. But in this one, completely clueless. And you know what? I'm glad. In this situation, I'm glad, because when I say that, it's more for the slasher films that I get that moment. In this one, this is more of a paranormal and psychological thriller, which I'm still a novice at times, but I appreciate everything that this movie gave me. One of the coolest things I like about this film, not only does it have the, I would say, biggest kill count at the beginning of a film, it's the opening itself, because the movie starts off in 1962 and the opening credits are very 1960s-esque. It has like the cursive style credits of all the actors and actresses involved, and even at the opening logo of Warner Brothers, it still has that kind of 1960s-esque feel to it, and it helps you get immersed. It's almost kind of, it's fun, but at the same time, you start to get an idea of what you might be getting into. So I dig that big time. Another thing I like about this film is the jump scares. I mean, there are multiple styles of jump scares. You have the traditional jump scare with the ghosts. You also have the jump scares of prank scares, of basically like the second guess, where it's like you think something bad's going to happen and then you realize, oh wait, it's just people being, idiots pulling a prank on somebody. And then you also have what's known as the gross outs. So you don't necessarily jump, but when you see what's happening, you kind of go, ugh, because one in particular, our two crew members are finding some food that's in cans that's been sitting down in the, on this boat for almost 40 years, and they're starting to eat it on a dare, and they think, they actually are like, oh my gosh, this is so good, it's so good. And then the gross out scare is, it's a bunch of maggots in their mouth. And Carl Urban, the moment where he freaks out with maggots in his mouth, not only is it a gross scare out, it's funny. So there is a little bit of dark humor within this film. Now, since I mentioned Carl Urban, we also have to talk about the cast. There is a very, very just concrete cast in this one. Gabriel Byrne is in this, Emily Browning, Juliana Margulies, I think I said her name right, but it is what it is. We've got Isaiah Washington, we have Desmond Harrington, and scores upon others that really make this movie just fit. It fits. And, there's a lot of just that energy between discontent and camaraderie that gets separated and brought back together, where you want the whole cast to survive. But obviously in a horror movie, people are going to go. And you sit there thinking to yourself, especially if you've watched some of these performers in other movies or TV shows, you want certain ones to survive because of whatever reason. If they played, a great character or a hero in one, you'd be like, oh, I want them to survive. And if you've seen them play, not so nice characters, you're like, screw them, I want them to die. And sometimes you don't always get what you want, according to, Rolling Stones, but I digress. Okay, it is time to grade this film. To be fair, I want to be unbiased. I want to give this the perfect grade, but maybe there was a reason why I didn't watch it for a long time. I'm not sure, but I'm going to say solid A. It is a very, very great film, and I recommend that you watch it if you've never have before. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you leave a thumbs up. If you didn't agree with everything I said, you can leave a thumbs down. I totally understand. Otherwise, make sure you share on social media, push that little red button and ring that bell for instant notifications. Until then, I'm Wildman Wes, and before I close out, once again, Patman, thank you for the request on this one. I know there's a couple other movies that are on the list that you were requesting, and they will be coming. And also, once again, to all the viewers, all the fans, make sure, if you have a chance, check the description below, look at the link for the GoFundMe. Let's help Patman get back to his daily routine of what he always says in every episode, happy little game. And we will see you tomorrow for day 15 of Shocktoberfest 2024. Take care, and as always, stay scared, kitties.